before, but maybe not for this project.
Okay, maybe I'm new to this then.
Mia, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Good, good, Mikael. Excellent. Great. All right, and raise your hand if you're an engineer, researcher, or you're working technically to see also if this will allow us for speakers to know how technical the discussion can get, or if, yeah, great. Raymond, Mikael. All right, looking at this guest list. So good. Nigel, nice to see you again.
Hi.
Um, well, I think districts or PEDs and thermal energy storage or TES are increasingly recognized as key building blocks in Europe's transition towards climate neutral and resilient cities. PEDs and energy communities aim to bring together renewable energy generation, flexible demand, and smart energy management at a district scale. To make this possible, we need solutions that can manage variability, shift energy loads, and balance energy flows across buildings and infrastructures. This is where thermal energy storage plays a crucial role. By storing heat when renewable energy is abundant and releasing it when the demand is high, TES helps stabilize the grid and reduces reliance on fossil-based peak supply and increases local energy flexibility. Together, PEDs and TES can support more citizen-centered energy systems that respond to growing challenges related to energy security, decarbonization, and urban energy demand. At the same time, how these concepts best interact is still being explored and often depends on the local context and case-specific conditions. To discuss this, we're pleased to welcome you to this knowledge exchange forum on TES and PEDs. Today, ThumbsUp, in collaboration with InterPED projects, together with the Spanish and the Swedish energy agencies, particularly excited about that, will take us through a full journey of installing thermal energy storage and how they can interact and work together so we can find synergies. So let us get started a little bit really quickly about the ThumbsUp project for those of you who are not familiar with it. With the ThumbsUp, we tried to see how we can unlock the potential of your home. As many of you know, the sun doesn't always shine when we want it to. So what can we do? When the production looks like this, because the sun is shining, we're at the office and the kids are at school, and the demand looks like that, because when you come home, it's gray or it's dark and there's no more those resilient, you can just let it be. You can share, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about today, and we can store. And so what's interesting for us is the sharing and storage combination. The challenge is there are already compact thermal energy storage solutions available, but they're very expensive. They use hazardous materials, and they're not very efficient. So what we want to do through the ThumbsUp project with funding from the European Commission is we want to get over these challenges. So ThumbsUp, hold on to your seats because ThumbsUp looks fun, but it actually does stand for something more important. It stands for Thermal Energy Storage Solutions to optimally manage buildings and unlock their grid balancing and flexibility potential. We are a consortium, of 21 organizations across 9 different countries, including big R&D centers, SMEs, large companies, as you can see here. And we are developing 2 types of groundbreaking technologies. First is the fractless concept with phase-changing material, so PCM-based, and Sortes concept. So fractless is for short-term, so day-to-day, and Sortes is with thermochemical materials, absorption, cooling, and it's for more up to a week or a month. Ulla will go into more technical details about this later. But one of the big works we're doing is how can we take this from lab to life? So how can we take the concept, these really new technologies, groundbreaking technologies, and make sure that they work in a real environment. To do this, first we're testing them in a test facility, Cartier and 3 in Spain. And then we have 3 demo sites. Student housing here in Gothenburg, Sweden at the HSP Living Lab. A single family home, so a family lives there and they've installed this in their rooftop and they're testing it in their everyday life. And a multi-family home in Spain and as well in Valladolid. So different climate areas, different building typologies and user behavior. What I like about this is you go over everything from student, family, until you get old. So you see really this is a technology that can accompany you throughout your life or future generations' lifetime. To make sure all these solutions and all this research actually has an impact. We've organized these knowledge exchange forums, as I mentioned earlier, on how to engage and share the knowledge. So enough about that. Today, we have a very special set of speakers, starting with Sara from the, oh, so how are you? There you are. From the Spanish, energy agency. Sara is Energy Communities lead at the Department of Demand Management and Integration of Renewables. She has over 10 years of experience in renewable energy sector and is founding member of the energy community in the UK. She holds a degree in chemical experience in chemical engineering and a master's degree in renewable energy from the Imperial College of London. Her background spans from both strategic consulting and utility sector. So Sara, if you want to wave and say hi so people see you, identify you. Great. Secondly, we have Björn Larsson. He is the Swedish Energy Agency's National Research Program for Heating and Cooling, or the THERMA program, focusing on next generation district heating, heat pumps, thermal energy storage, and is working toward heating and cooling to become integrated part of the future sustainable energy systems. He also works with programs for large-scale pilot and demonstration plants within the energy sector, and represents Sweden at the IAA Technology Collaboration Program on District Heating and Cooling. Björn has a background in energy industry with focus on district heating, cooling, and combined heat and power. So thank you, Björn, for joining us today. We're sharing your present to what you have. Now, so once we talk about our energy agencies or governmental institutions, let's look at the projects. Representing InterPED, we have Lorena Sánchez Relaño, and she is an innovation consultant at R2M Solutions. R2M starts from research to market solutions.
No, she just had that now, so I'll go back to you.
You hold a master's in science engineering and bachelor in science engineering honors degree from an energy engineering from the Polytechnic University in Madrid, where she is currently doing a PhD in environmental research, modeling, and risk assessment. Lorena has more than 6 years of experience working in EU-funded projects addressing a wide variety of areas such as community energy, smart grids, EU policy, and energy efficiency services or innovative business models. So Lorena, thank you. We had a pleasure meeting at Enlit last year in Bilbao, and it's really happy that you agreed to be here with us today. And then last but absolutely not least is our colleague Ulla Gustafsson from RISE, Sweden's Research Institutes. He is a project leader and researcher and has been working within the energy field of energy for the past 15 years. He has experience from projects focused in reducing energy and power consumption across the entire spectrum, from individual components to large-scale systems, both nationally and internationally. Most projects have been related to energy use in buildings, but he has also worked with automotive sector. Ulla used to be responsible for RISE's test facilities for heat pumps and climatic testing, but is now mainly working on research projects related to energy storage and energy communities, also a little bit in collaboration with Björn. So with no further ado, I would like to hand over the floor to Sara. Sara, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about the public programs you have in Spain to accelerate the deployment of energy communities?
Hi, good morning all. Thank you, Emilia, for the introduction. If you want, I can share my screen as well, so I can drive it myself. I can, let's see, Ventana.
Yes, it's while you open it. It's nicer when you get that flow, so absolutely, please do.
Perfect. So you must have it in the Spanish Energy Agency. And I very much look forward to what is being presented today, especially because I think I have a huge amount of possibilities to learn from this network, particularly on these positive energy districts and the thermal energy storage solutions. There are topics in which I'm not expert by no means, and that's why today I wanted to talk about energy communities, which is the field in which I work. And as well, to put a little bit of the context of what I believe that is important for us to be part of this presentation is at the moment, and I will present it now with a little bit more of detail. In the Spanish Energy Agency, we've been pushing for this figure of the energy communities that is regulated by the European Union directives, and it has been transposed in many European countries. We've been pushing it for the last 5-6 years, and now we believe we are in a moment in which these figures can start to escalate. They started to be small projects from small communities, and we believe that it's important that if they want to have an important role in the energy transition, their scale but must be larger, and hence there is a potential combination or moment in which the energy communities can come together with the concept of positive energy districts. And that's why I'm very much looking forward to hear about the expertise of the different projects and the different agencies that we'll present today. Having said that, I would like to present today a couple of things. I would like to try to explain what have we been doing as a Spanish Energy Agency on energy communities and the things that we believe remains to be done. And the first point on what has been done by IDAE, as I was mentioning, just to put 1 minute of context on the figure of the energy communities, those figures are regulated by a couple of directives, the directive for the internal electricity markets, particularly the figure of the communities, citizen energy communities, CCEs, and there is a second figure of the renewable energy communities that is regulated through the Renewable Energy Directive. These two figures have to be transposed in different countries, and one of the core points is that they are open, that they are democratic, and that their main contribution is for the economic, social, environmental benefits for their members and for the local communities. And hence there was an introduction of these types of figures in order to encourage the acceptance of the deployment of renewable energy at a scale. Within that context, what we've been doing for the last years can be organized mainly in 2 pillars. We have built a support system mechanism for the Recovery, Transformation and Resilience Plan. I joined this organization, the Spanish Energy Agency, in 2020, just when this next generation program was about to kick off. And within that framework, we've designed a support system that 6 years after, we can say that has been able to deploy pilots for these energy communities, as well a network of offices that help to promote energy communities. We call them the Community Transformation Offices. And as well, has been at the national level. There have been another mechanisms of aid systems at the regional or autonomous level. I will later on talk a bit more, get deeper into this support system. The second pillar in which we've been supporting the energy ministry, for which we are dependent of them, is on all the regulatory framework. There have been different pieces of regulation since 2020 that have introduced these 2 figures, renewable energy communities and citizen energy communities, within the Spanish legislation. There was a draft royal decree in 2023, and the big news here in Spain has been a new royal decree 7/2026 of a comprehensive response plan for the Middle East crisis. It's a 130 pages document, but there are still some points related to energy communities, particularly within 3 months of coming into force. There is a need that a royal decree for regulatory development of these figures of the citizen energy communities, renewable energy communities is approved. This Royal Decree of 2026 also gives direct powers to local entities to participate, to promote energy communities, which is as well an important signal that these local entities are an active part of the energy transition. And there is as well extra funding to promote those offices of which I was talking about. Let's go into the first pillar, the support mechanism. We had pretty much to start from scratch to understand which kind of figures are energy communities, how can we promote them, and we decided to implement a 3-step mechanism. We showed them a first step, we call it Se Aprende, in order for those communities to learn about the concept, to identify future partners. A second step related to the planification stage, that is to have a legal entity of an energy community, a specification of a project. And a third stage in relation to the execution of the project, we call it implementation. And it's particularly that piece, the third step, the ones in which the 6 calls have been deployed. We also deployed different support mechanisms related with these community transformation offices, a knowledge network, and as well legal support and template documentation. Getting deeper into this third step, the implementa, the pilots of the energy communities, now we can see after these years of work from 2022, I think it was the first call, till last year, in which it was the last call was closed and resolved. 125 million of funding have been able to trigger the development of more or less 250 energy communities all around the national territory that have engaged more than 100,000 members, like persons, SMEs, and also local entities. Interestingly, of those projects, we can see that more or less half of them are in these municipalities that we call of demographic challenge, those that are less than 500,000 people. And there is a lot of traction of these initiatives within the rural areas. We try to encourage that within these calls, the projects were related not only to self-consumption linked to photovoltaic energy, but also another initiatives, for example, electric mobility, energy demand side response, or other specific areas related to thermal energy or energy storage and energy efficiency as well. We have some specific summary sheets of some of examples of these energy communities and of those projects. I have the links there if you want to have a look at different examples of what has been implemented, the type of projects that they've deployed, what kind of are the core elements that enable the deployment, what are the type of actuations that they have. The other call that I've mentioned that has been deployed as well is the one related to the offices that are linked to energy communities, that they encourage the creation of energy communities through offices that provided dissemination activities. They give guidance to the energy communities on a technical level, but also on a social level and a juridic and legal level, and as well all type of advice that was set up by all kind of organizations, from local, regional public entities to civil society, cooperatives, or other SMEs or other type of companies that believe that there was something that was interesting to engage in. Similarly, the results of that call, that in this case comprised 20 million of funding, was more than 70 offices that are all around the Spanish territory. And they've been able to trigger the constitution of more than 200 energy communities with thousands of documents provided and created within those offices. And we've heard through those offices that there is a clear value on the work that they've done, and the constitution of energy communities is a proof of that. On the second side, after a very small summary of what have been done in the last years, I will present now what is the things that we believe that needs to be done still. It's important still at the regulatory level to have a legal certainty and support framework mechanism. As I mentioned, there is a royal decree on the pipeline that will define and concrete what is a citizen energy community, and a renewable energy community will be very positive for different agents in the sector. But there is also a task for us to simplify some of the aspects that are core for these organizations, for example, collective self-consumption, and also the procedures to create energy communities. On an economic level, it's important to remove the financing barriers for these entities. These are new concepts, mainly most of them are newly created, so they have no credit history or guarantees, and it's difficult for some banks to provide them to support. Also, we believe that it's the time to create a value chain that is able to support the energy community, so they are able to escalate, to get professional, as we mentioned to begin with. And this role of the positive energy districts potentially can give that escalation of these initiatives. As well, I was mentioning that most of these initiatives comprise projects of photovoltaic self-consumption. We believe it's important that they go beyond these activities with storage, flexibility, new sectors, and I hope today I will have good ideas to take back and to connect and try to implement in future mechanisms of support of these activities. And as well, at the social level, it's still important that this concept is understood. It has a huge amount of complexity because it creates a social layer over a sector that is very technically dominated, the energy sector, and it's not easy to explain in many occasions to the citizen what it is that it is for them on it. As well, it's important the training of the citizens for the realization of the concept of active consumers. And as well, we are hearing from some actors, local entities, that they would like to see these actors, the energy communities, as a potential tool to tackle fuel poverty. There is a role as well for diversification of who comprises these energy communities, and to end with, at the technical level as well, I mentioned the importance to widen the project, so they have other elements that contribute to the energy transition. And as well, we are seeing some areas that are potential, have potential development for energy communities, industrial estates, areas such as cybersecurity, management tools, potentially the concepts of positive energy districts, etc. So that's in a very short presentation, a little bit of a summary of what we've done in this area, and I very much look forward to hear about what you have to say. Certainly a lot about these positive energy districts, as well for sure for energy communities, thermal storage, and of course to take any questions that you may have.
Presentation says.
I will share. My presentation has the boring title of PEDs and TES and energy communities at the Swedish Energy Agency. Like I said, my name is Björn, and I work at the Swedish Energy Agency's Department of Research in Innovation and Business Development as a research program manager for heating and cooling. Like Emilia said, my primary area of expertise is district heating, thermal energy storage, and heat pumping technologies. I want to be upfront to mention that my detailed knowledge regarding energy communities and positive energy districts is relatively limited. So if there's in-depth questions regarding those areas, I might have to pass along to Sara, which seems highly knowledgeable in those areas. However, today I want to share how the Swedish Energy Agency is working with positive energy districts and energy communities. Looking at it from a broader perspective, I will also talk about how buildings and premises are transforming from being passive consumers into efficient and flexible nodes within the energy system. I will also highlight a couple of ongoing projects in the field of thermal energy storage. With that said, let's get started. I call this slide Evolving Energy Landscape. I would like to begin with an overview from a broader perspective that we're currently witnessing. As we all know, the traditional energy system can typically be divided into supply using sources like biomass, solar, wind, and various liquid and solid fuels. These are then transformed into electricity, heating, and other useful utilities, such as which are then distributed to end users across industry, transport sector, and the built environment. Right, basic stuff. That's how the model has traditionally looked for the large part of the history. However, we're now ongoing a transition where we're seeing how traditional end users are increasingly transforming into active nodes within the energy system. A large amount of effort of development will currently taking place behind the meter, so to say, encompassing production, distribution, and utilization of various energy sources. This is an exciting area and a field that the Swedish Energy Agency is actively advancing on multiple fronts. It's not an area entirely without its challenges, but I will return to those a bit later. By the way, I'm not sure if you noticed the car driving on the subsurface electricity grid on the pressure. Just to be clear, we're not working on that. That's AI getting a bit too innovative. Perhaps it wanted to illustrate vehicle to grid, but instead made it vehicle on grid. Anyway, let's move on. Ahead of today's webinar, I ran a search within our project database regarding initiatives related to the topics we will be hearing more about today. It was just a keyword search across project titles and summaries, so it's not a complete list, but it serves as a helpful overview. What we can see that we have currently relatively few projects specifically focused on phase change material and thermochemical energy storage, which will be topics today. This is not intentional, and we have certainly welcome application with these areas, and we do support significant research within thermal energy storage overall. But the application we receive tend to involve other technical solutions, both among research projects and real-world facilities. I will come back to this point during the section about thermal energy storage. As you can see, the concept of energy communities and positive energy districts started to trend around 2020. We had a major initiative focused on specifically on energy communities in 2025, which is why that particular area stands out so clearly in the statistics. So, what does the Swedish Energy Agency do within the field of positive energy districts and energy communities? It's primarily centered around these four areas. First off, the European Driving Urban Transition Partnership. Together with other public actors, the Swedish Energy Agency is part of the ongoing work on the DOT partnership regarding positive energy districts. The topics we focus on include PED strategies in social and public housing, the role of PEDs in local economies and energy markets, and the integration of PEDs and how they fit into the urban heating and cooling strategies. And the ultimate goal of a DOT partnership is to transform urban areas from energy consumers into active energy hubs and supporting the EU's mission to deliver 100 climate neutral cities by 2030. Sweden actually has the most project partners of all participating countries, and we also have the second high numbers of participating cities. I would love to tell you more about this, but my personal insight to this specific work is quite limited. The Energy Community Initiative, which is the second one you see, the Swedish Energy Agency was tasked by the government to investigate the conditions for establishing and operating energy communities and suggest measures to promote them. This really resulted in a call for proposal focusing on feasibility studies, exploratory studies, and synthesis, which led to a total of 19 projects being launched. You saw those in the statistics on the last slide. I will also mention that one of those projects in the section about thermal energy storage. Alongside this initiative, we also launched a knowledge exchange platform where projects can meet and discuss challenges, participate in workshops, and attend lectures regarding energy communities. The aim is to foster mutual learning and collaboration between the different projects. The third area, Viable Cities, is a strategic innovation program aimed at accelerating the transition to climate neutral cities by 2030, whereas the Swedish Energy Agency acts as a lead responsible authority and co-founder. Together with the Climate Cities Contract 2030, we actively collaborate with, I believe, 48 cities and several other government agencies to turn these cities' goals into concrete actions. The fourth part is our thematic research programs. I run the thermal program, where locally produced and shared energy is included in several of our programs. This spans across built environment, heating and cooling, electricity system, as well as pilot and demonstration projects. I will briefly touch upon one of those later. Right, moving on to thermal energy storage. As I said earlier, projects involving phase change materials and thermochemical energy storage is quite not as common. I haven't conducted a formal analysis as to why this is, and to my knowledge, neither have any of my colleagues. However, a likely reason is that we already have good conditions and a strong knowledge base for other technical solutions, specifically geothermal energy storage. And we're also seeing a major trend right now, focusing on large-scale thermal energy storage, often referred to as seasonal storage. There are several drivers behind this, but a few reoccurring ones are storing excess energy, both heating and electricity, decoupling production, separating electricity and heating production in combined heat and power plants, mainly focused on the district heating. Peak shaving, smoothing out the power peaks in the systems and strengthening resilience, thereby improving the overall system robustness. We don't currently have a targeted funding initiative specifically for thermal energy storage, the way we did for PEDs and energy communities. It is an area which is present in many of our programs instead. I will show you two projects that we have in these areas. First off, Hydroc. This concept is based on high pressure pumps to stimulate fracture zones within the bedrock at several levels. I'm not sure if I can use the, yeah. Can you see the pointer? No, I don't believe so. Yeah, maybe, no. Well, the concept is to use a high pressure pump to stimulate cracks in the bedrock at several levels, thereby creating an underground cylinder where you can use water to transport heat and to and from the energy storage. The temperature in this thermal energy storage has been gradually increased through various testing phases. When I last spoke to the company, I believe they were at around 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, but I'm uncertain about that figure. The ultimate goal is to reach 100 degrees Celsius, allowing them to extract heat without using a heat pump for temperature lift. A key advantage of this concept is that the majority of the components are located underground, resulting in a very small footprint and minimal surface impact. In fact, you can see the photo there. I believe there are sheep grazing the field as they're working, so it's low impact. The project funded by the Swedish Energy Agency, which is being tested, they use waste heat from a CHP plant, waste to energy, and a district heating network. Then they are coupling that to a low temperature district heating community in Linköping, I believe. The company is also working with partners trying to integrate storage of other thermal sources, such as solar thermal, within neighborhood applications. The second project I want to touch upon is, as you can see, also geothermal energy storage. Even though it's different from PCM thermochemical energy storage, there are some similarities. I mean, we achieve a very high energy density, provided that the geothermal storage you only count the, footprint above the surface. However, moving on to heat vault, this concept involves drilling a large amount of holes in a circular formation, once again creating an underground cylinder. However, this concept does not use water as a heat transfer medium. Instead, it uses thermal oil, which enables much higher temperatures, up to 300 degrees Celsius, where they use electricity to reach those high levels. There are currently two ongoing projects, one involving a large-scale pilot of 10 gigawatt hours coupled to a CHP plant and district heating, storing surplus heat during the summer for use in the winter. While that might be less central to our specific discussions today, they also have other project ongoing focusing on energy communities. In that project, which is a feasibility study, local solar PV, seasonal storage, and a micro low temperature grid and a smart electricity grid is being combined. The overarching goal is to investigate whether it is possible to build a system that requires 0 kilowatt hours of imported heat during the winter season. The hope is that that feasibility study can prove that it's possible, and hopefully then replicate that concept to other areas or similar neighborhoods. Right. That's it for me.
Thank you, Björn. Very interesting, and also right on time. It's InterPED. How do you work with positive energy districts, the interoperability, the different functions that these districts these need to have?
Yeah, thank you very much, Emilia. I'm very happy to be here today. And you all see my screen in presentation mode now?
Not in presentation mode, just in now. Great.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. It takes a bit of time. So, yeah, well, as Emilia said before, my name is Lorena Sánchez. I work in R2M Solution, Spain, which is the entity coordinating the project. So I'm in the coordination team, a project manager. InterPED is an Horizon Europe project. It started in 2024, so we are now in the third year of the project. Actually, it was supposed to finish by the end of this year, but well, due to some delays we experienced in the pilots, and I will talk later about this, we just asked for an extension to run for another extra year. So now we are supposed to finish by the end of 2027, and it stands for Interoperable Cloud-Based Solution for Cross-Vector Planning and Management of Positive Energy Districts. From the technical point of view, it's a bit complex, but I will summarize the project in three main objectives. So the first one is to deploy a cloud-based solution that integrates a suite of tools that allows to improve overall the energy efficiency of the PED, of the Positive Energy District. The second objective would consist of demonstrating the InterPED solution in 4 different pilots across Europe. And finally, to find different follower districts that are able to escalate and replicate this solution. So if we zoom now in the InterPED pilots, well, we have these 4. We have the Lugaritz Matia community pilot located in San Sebastian in the Basque Country, north of Spain. Then we have Finjor Eco Village in Scotland, in the United Kingdom. We also have Arena Innovation Community in the Italian part of Switzerland. And finally, Alba Iulia municipality in Romania. As today we have limited time, I will focus only on the first pilot, which is the Lugaritz Matia community in San Sebastian. This pilot is owned by the Matia Foundation and managed by Veolia, which is also a partner in InterPED project. As you can see here, it is composed by 3 different buildings. And what this pilot has of special, because all pilots in InterPED are different, and that makes them especially interesting in terms of deploying different solutions, is that all the facilities are related to healthcare. And in the case of this specific pilot, that this is a thermal PED. So this means that for the electric demand, it is connected to the grid and it takes the electricity from there, but it is self-sufficient from the thermal energy point of view, and it's able to share the excess of energy among the different buildings. So if we go a bit more in detail into the different buildings, first we have the Lugaritz resident. This would be the main building, the one that has more equipment installed, and also the one that is that tries to provide thermal energy to the other 2 buildings. It's composed by innovative approach, I would say, that it's supervised housing for elderly people. It's not a conventional nursing home, but more like independent apartments for people that need permanent healthcare, but they still keep their own independence. And also there are the offices of the Matia Foundation are also located there. So this is in this building we can find 2 biomass boilers, 2 condensing boiler, 1 geothermal heat pump, and also 1 chiller. Then we have the Birmingham Hospital. In this case, we have solar thermal collectors, 1 aerothermal heat pump, and also 3 conventional gas boilers, but these are used only as a backup. So just in a case of extreme need, but usually they try to use only the renewable sources, but well, this is a hospital, so they cannot risk to lose certain services. And finally, we have the Resola nursing home. This is a conventional nursing home for elderly people. Here, for now, they only have a condensing boiler plus another conventional gas boiler, also for backup, as I said, with the hospital. So, what have we done in InterPED in terms of installation? Well, we have installed two different storage water tanks, each of 3,000 liters in the three buildings. So two are for heating in Resola and Birmingham, and also one for cooling in Lugaritz. So as I said, as a thermal PED, what we are providing here is heating, cooling, and also domestic hot water. But well, as the north of Spain is not such a hot area, it's mostly heating and domestic hot water than cooling. But also in the summer, there is a bit of cooling too. So why we decided to install these storage tanks? So I will try to explain this kind of quickly with an example of the Lugaritz building. For example, imagine that you have a demand of hot water or heating in one of the other two buildings. So the Lugaritz is the one that is mainly providing this thermal energy demand. So without the tanks, when you have a demand of thermal energy, you have the biomass boilers producing, and every time you have this demand, you need to start and then stop the boiler. This is detrimental for the equipment because it reduces the efficiency of the operation, and also it causes that the equipment is more damaged during its lifetime, and it also increases the consumption for the same demand. Also, in ultimate instance, what you're doing with this is that if you don't have enough energy to satisfy this demand, you need also to turn off the backup boilers, and it is something we want to avoid and only use in case of extreme need, as I said before. So with these tanks, what they allows us is to have some hot water prepared in advance. So if the demand is not that high, you can already use that water. And if you foresee that the demand will be a bit higher, maybe you can start the boiler, but you avoid this quick start and stop of the equipment, as I said before. So you are improving the operation and also the efficiency of the system. What have we done in InterPED? Well, as I said at the beginning, part of the objective of the project is to develop a wide range of tools to improve energy efficiency in PEDs, and one of them is the model predictive controllers. So what the model predictive controllers do is, with the help of some forecasters that have also been developed within the project and drawing from data that were collected during a whole year, what they allow is to foresee when this demand will take place in advance. So in this way, you are able to forecast when you will need this energy. So you are able to turn on your boiler in advance and fill the water tanks and use them in a more constant and stable way, avoiding, as I said before, to start and stop the equipment all the time. And in this way, what you are doing is to try to soften a bit these peaks of demand, getting a better operation and a more efficient management of the whole system. So just to conclude the presentation, what are the main barriers that we found along the way and the lessons that we learned? Well, as I said before, the Lugaritz Matia pilot is owned by the Matia Foundation, but it's managed by Veolia. So the fact that it is owned by a third party has caused that we always need their permissions when we need to make like new deployments or installations in the pilot, and this will increase all the approval times, also difficulties the bureaucracy, and well, it definitely delays some of the installation. Also, there was a problem that it's very common in many European projects that usually there's a high turnover of technical personnel. So this happened within the Veolia team, and this also caused that there was a shifting of the personnel, and we had to replan some of the tasks and some of the installations, causing also some delays in the when deploying new equipments and in knowledge transfer. From the physical space point of view, it was not that easy to find room to install all these thermal storage tanks in the facilities, and also, well, the Mattia Foundation wanted them to look well from the aesthetic point of view. So it took time to find a proper place to allocate them. And in addition to this, it was found that part of the floor required also structural reinforcements in order to support the weight of the tanks. So this also delayed the complete installations. Furthermore, as I said, we are working on a critical healthcare environment. This means that you cannot put people at risk. So, in order to deploy some of the solutions and to make some tests, in order to avoid leaving those patients there without heat, we needed the heating season to finish in order to make some of the installations, and yeah, and to avoid any risk of the patient thermal comfort. Well, these are the main barriers that we found, can be summarizing for. And what is the main lesson that we learned along the way? That as a mitigation strategy and as a future perspective when PED planning in sensitive urban areas, we should always prioritize early structural validation, also include flexible buffers in order to have stakeholder approval processes with more time and have everything running smoother than we have in this pilot. But well, apart from this, it's true that the project is working and progressing well. And as Sara commented before, PEDs are something very in a very early stage in Spain. So it was very interesting to see how the whole process and how it was developed and what were the main problems that we faced throughout the whole path. So this would be everything from my side. Thank you very much, and of course, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Responsible for overseeing the prototype that's being installed here in Sweden, in Gothenburg. Can you tell us a little bit more about this, your experience in that?
Sure, I will. And hi to everyone, and nice to meet you, and nice to see that so many are here and listening in. Just as Emilia said, I'm going to speak a little bit more in detail about the ThumbsUp product that I'm involved in, together with Emilia and Elin and Mia, also as part of this meeting. And then also in the end, I'm going to speak a little bit about the potential for the PED application with this type of technology. But first, a little bit more about what we are doing in this project. I hope you can see my screen now and hear me well and so on. Good. So as you all know, there are different types of energy storage. A lot of times you hear or think when people are talking about energy storage, think about different type of battery and storing electricity. But what we have been focusing on in this project is instead thermal energy storage and mainly in types of heating, but also we have been looking at different cooling applications. So Emilia, you mentioned this very briefly in the beginning, but the purpose of this project is to look at different thermal energy storages. And today, unfortunately, they are a lot of times rather expensive. They are inefficient. A lot of times they use different hazardous materials. They can have a large environmental footprint, and they are large or heavy, as we heard about before. So what we are trying to do now is to find a solution that is more compact, more efficient, also more sustainable, affordable, and scalable. So we are on all of these different factors and trying to find solutions that could fill these. So what we are looking into in more particular in the ThumbsUp project and the technologies, Emilia has already mentioned them, but I'm going to go into a little more detail about them, is something we call the fractless concept. This is a PCM storage module. PCM, as most of you know, stands for phase changing material. We are looking into different organic-based PCMs, and there are labs in Spain that have been testing these from a PCM perspective. But we are also demonstrating in, as I will show soon, these type of technologies on a more large scale. So one of the pros with this type of PCM storages is in comparison to the water storage technology, for example, it can be more compact. It's lighter. You use the PCM behavior with this phase changing, and that makes the modules smaller and not as heavy. This fractless concept is thought of as a day-to-day basis of storage. So it's a kind of short-term storage technology. The other technology that we are looking into more, and please don't ask difficult questions about this technology, because I'm mainly involved in the fractless one, because that's the one that we are demonstrating in Sweden. But the other solution is the sortless concept, and that's based on an absorption technology instead, and using of a composite sorbent. And this type of storage is more of a long-term storage technology, where we are looking at something around 4 weeks, since the losses in this system are smaller. So if we are looking at what we want to do with this type of storage, and of course that's different from the different applications and the different requirements for the building or for the area where you install these. For example, in the demonstration that we have in Spain, there is a lot of excess PV at times. There you could use these storages to make greater use, or you save the excess PV and then to use it for other times of day. In the building that we are demonstrating this technology here in Sweden, there are very few occasions in the year where there is an excess in PV. So here we are more looking into how we can average or average out the usage of energy of the building. So this is just to represent or show a schematic of showing the use of energy in this building. So what we want to do is when the building is using lower heat and on some times of day, we could store or put in energy into these storages, and then when the building is using more, we could release energy from the storages, and in that way reduce the amount of bought electricity or bought energy from the grid or district heating network, and in that way evening out the profile of the building. So as I said, you could use it to balance the electric or the the district heating grid. You could also use it to maximize the use of locally produced electricity. Could use it to avoid power peaks, or you could also use it for this electricity price arbitrage, where you buy or store energy when it's cheap, and then buy less or provide a solution for the building to buy less when the electricity is more expensive. And there are some different charging and discharging strategies for different, depending on what you want to achieve or what you want to do. So what we are doing in this project is that we are developing these two different technologies. In the phase 1, we are calling it, and then in the second phase, we are validating the technology and demonstrating in 3 different demonstration sites. And then in the last phase, we are having a replication campaign. And this project, it started in the beginning of 2023, and it also has been extended somewhat. So now we expect the project to end in the middle of 2027. So we are in month 39 or 40 at the moment in this project. So we are beginning to come to the end. And from the demonstration point of view, we are just finalizing the installation and the calibration and making the demonstration running in the different sites. So we have 3 different demonstrations. There are 2 in Spain, 1 single family building, and then 1 multifamily building, as you can see here. And then also we have the Swedish demonstration that I'm responsible for, and that is a multifamily building that is sitting just outside the Chalmers campus in Gothenburg. This is called HSB Living Lab. So it's a building owned by HSB that is used for a lot of different research projects, and we are one of them. So what we want to do with this different demonstration is, of course, to test and demonstrate these 2 different storage technologies in different environments, both when it comes to the type of building, as is we have both single family house and a multifamily house, but also looking at different climates and different markets where there are different regulatory frameworks and so on. So here is a picture from the demonstration in the HSB Living Lab. So here you can see one of these storage modules. In this gypsum box, we have another 4. So in total, there are 5 of these modeled in this room, and then in a room sitting next to this, it's another 4. So we have installed 9 of these modules here, and we are using it for 2 different applications. One is for preheating the domestic hot water, and one is for providing energy or heat to the floor heating system that is part of the building. So in total, we have installed around 2.5 tons or almost 3 tons of PCM material. So quite a lot of material, and we are having somewhere close to 150 kilowatt hours of storage that we have added to the building. And that is to be compared to the building's current energy use, that is somewhere around 200 to 400 kilowatt hours every day, depending on the time of year. And as I said, we are just finalizing the last things with these installations. We are calibrating the systems and making sure that everything runs as they should. And we will conduct measurements for the whole of 2026 And we are aiming to finalize the measurements in the next winter. So if we look at what these types of solutions could do for a positive energy district, if we first look at the type of solution that we have and what we could do within a community, so there are pros or good things that could happen for the community as itself, but of course it can also contribute to the grids and the surrounding networks as well. If we start looking at what's happening within the community, is that with increasing the storage capacity within an energy community, you could facilitate or increase the potential for energy sharing between the different buildings. So consider you have different buildings with different energy profiles. What you want to do in a community is that you share energy, and one building has maybe produce electricity at one location when another one is needing it. The first step is to share this energy, but if you also have a storage installed, you could maybe store the energy for some time and then use it in another building and a different time. So you increase this capacity of energy storage. Also, I should say that this type of solutions that we are looking at is modular. So what you could do is to install the solutions or the thermal energy storages in the different buildings in an energy community, or you could also have a centralized plant if you prefer that. So then you could maybe have, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 of these modules sitting in a central place. That could also be used. So you have both options with this type of solutions. What it also can do is to allow for a higher local PV production. So if you have the storage capacity, you could store now the electricity in form of heat instead. But if it's going to be used for heating of domestic hot water or for heating later on, this could be a good way of saving the electricity that comes from the PVs. It could also help for load shifting at occasions when the electricity prices is high. And of course, it's the same thing as for each individual building or as for the community. It can work as a to increase the usage of this variation in the electricity prices, for example. But it can also help in increasing the energy resilience of energy community. And this is that you are able to store some electricity or some energy, and if there is some kind of outage, you could provide heat for some period of time at least to the community, if of some reason there is some kind of crisis that is happening. So these different factors, or this that I mentioned here, is not only for the energy community itself, but also, of course, it helps the grids, as I mentioned before. So what it does is that it has the potential to even out the community's energy profile, but it can also support the grid in different ways. If you have the right control of the system, you could maybe help the system to increase or to decrease the energy uses depending on what's required. So what I'm seeing is what we need more is to have the right market models in place. You need to have some kind of economic incentives to make this technology come into place. You add technology to the system, you add things to the system, and of course that comes with a cost. So there must be some kind of incentive along the way to have this upfront or increased upfront cost of the system. It also requires the right control technology. You're adding a resource. It can be complicated enough to make this thermal energy storage to work with each individual building, but now to make it happen on a community scale, you need to have this resource uploaded on some kind of community control scale, and maybe even on a larger scale together with the grid. So this is still something that needs to be developed and looked into. And as with all development of technology, you need some kind of demonstration to show that this works, and for everyone to learn about it. So these are in my view or the three kind of maybe most important issues to look into in the future. I'm stopping there. If you have questions about the ThumbsUp project, please don't hesitate.